Welcome to the Five-week Linguist Show. If you want to learn a language or you teach a language, you've come to the right place. Join Janina each week for tips, resources, and advice for making engaging language learning happen anytime, anywhere.
Welcome to the Five-week Linguist Show. In this 5-week series, we've been talking all about languages and Google Apps. So today I want to talk about forms. So Google Forms are, really quite useful and interesting. So you can do quizzes or surveys, all kinds of things. I want to share with you some ways that I have used these and find them really useful. So the very first one is comprehensible input for reading. So essentially, you can take content, authentic content, and let's say, from the web somewhere, or something that you've created, and then you create questions around it. It's really quite obvious, it's question and answer. But what I really like about it is that you can take so much realia from the web and screenshot it and then create questions around it. The next thing that you can do is make quizzes, really just about anything, right? You can also create surveys, and this is probably one of my very favorite uses of forms. What's great about surveys is it has a response function. So if you create surveys, questions, so, how many people are in your family, or whatever the case may be, right? It can be as simple or as complex as you want, and the answers can be given drop down. They can be multiple choice. They can be check boxes. They can be short answer. They can be long answer. But making surveys, and then you take all the responses, and it puts it in different kinds of graphs, which is fun, not because you want to analyze, not because it's data science, but rather they're visual speaking prompts. And for more advanced students, being able to collect all those answers and then share them out is really interesting. Everybody can read each other's answers. So you can make this really appropriate, rich language experience for people with varying levels. And as you move into the intermediate level, or students move into the intermediate level, they can actually create the questions, and you edit them, or have students edit each other's questions, and you put them in the survey, and everybody takes the survey. I love collaborative surveys like this because because the students made them, and they're also people. I think people are just so interesting, and people come up with all kinds of things that I would never think of, and they can ask some really interesting questions. So I think this is a really interesting way to get students thinking. Now, I wanted to point out that today I'm having a hard time, as of today, really thinking about how, if a form or a survey wasn't created by somebody else, how would this be useful for independent language learners? And I can't say that I see how that could be. I see that you could make your own surveys, but what's interesting is that the user can change the language. So then, as an independent language learner, if you were thinking about asking and answering, a certain things on a certain theme, the user can change the language. So essentially what that means is that you can create, if you're ever given Google surveys, or you find some Google surveys that are out there, or some of the templates, that you can actually change the language. And again, that goes back to Google Translate, not the most reliable thing, but I think it'd be some really interesting input by changing the settings. So if you look, they have, calendars and quizzes and surveys, and check them out, because I think that if you could learn a lot in your target language through this simple activity. I also want to ask you, if you've used Google Forms in any way as an independent learner, could you let me know how? I'm really curious to see what you're doing. I'm also going to link to some resources that I have, some activities that I've made over the years with Google Forms. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to the 5-week Linguist Show with Janina Klimas. Join us each week here, and visit us at reallifelanguage.com/reallifelanguageblog for more resources for learning and teaching languages.